What took place last Friday in Newtown, Connecticut at the Sandy Hook Elementary School, by everybody's estimation, was an extreme tragedy. I am the grandfather of 9 and one on the way grandchildren. I'm the father of 4. I understand this situation from too many personal experiences. One such experience was the most recent attempted murdering of my granddaughter in a library at a elementary school in East Hartford, Connecticut. The young lady stabbed her repeatedly with a knife that she had snuck into the school past security. Fortunately and blessedly, my granddaughter was not killed. As a matter of fact, the knife, after so many thrusts, did not penetrate her flesh, to the amazement of authorities. But I know it was the grace of God, as I pray over my children and grandchildren, as I know you do too. Sometimes it doesn't work, and many times, thank God, it does. But the one that is more personal to me is very similar in nature to what happened at the school the other day. When I was around 12, I attended the Sarah J. Rawson Elementary School in Hartford, Connecticut. And we had a young lady who was a friend. That's Brian and I had a young friend by the name of Christine Carjan. Christine had just broken up with a young man named Irvin. So one day Irvin comes to our school on recess, brandishing a gun. He was playing with the gun. It's reported that he fired a shot or two off. After recess was over, Brian and I, seeing the apparent danger, hatched a plan to bring safety. So we decided that we'd walk her home because Brian, Christine, and I lived within a block of each other. Brian and Christine lived on the same street, which is Branford Street, and I lived on Woodstock Street, just through the backyard. So as we were walking home, we arrived at the bottom of our hill, there at the corner of Blue Hills Avenue and Branford Street. Then there was a pharmacy called Celeste Pharmacy. And Celeste Pharmacy always had the candies that kids loved, and we would often visit that place. Well, on this day, Christine decided that she wanted to go in to get a piece of candy. Her favorite candy was a blow pop, grape-flavored blow pop. So Brian and I waited outside. While we were waiting outside, Brian's mom pulls up in the car, rolls down the window, just the window, a little frantically it seemed. Maybe she had heard some of the rumors of what was going on in the school, and yelled, "Boy, where have you been?" and told us to get in the car. Brian and I looked at each other, realizing we were waiting on Christine to come out, and we concluded that she would probably be okay since we were so close to home. So we got in the car, rode over the hill. As we were getting out on the other side of the hill at Brian's house, we noticed 2 young boys running towards us down the hill. As it came closer to us, we recognized one of them to be Irvin, her ex-boyfriend. We watched him run past us, ran down to the bottom of the hill to Coventry and Branford, passing Christine's house, making a right. I turned and walked away, cut through the neighbor's backyard, arrived at my house, and about 15 minutes later, the phone rings, and it's Brian calling me to inform me that Christine had just been shot on the other side of the hill, and that she was in the Mount Sinai Hospital. Well, about 3 o'clock in the morning, Christine died as a result of a gunshot to the heart that shattered her heart, so there was no hope for her to live. We were very close with her. We 2 hung together all the time. We were so close that we rode in the limousines with the family to the funeral. We sat with the family in the front row. And I can recall during the funeral service at that age not knowing what to do with my emotions. So we went to school the next day. They didn't close school down. I remember the hallways being quiet. The changing of classes was met with much silence. Children didn't talk and play. During that day, and as a matter of fact, the rest of that year, no counselors came, no teachers spoke with us, excuse me, no principal didn't inquire, even the police detectives didn't come to our house to see what we might know. The thing just kind of disappeared. So at that age of 12, I lost my innocence concerning safety in school then. As many Americans has lost it today. Elementary schools have been unsafe for a while, but now it's really coming to a head, and it's unfortunate and very tragic. My heart goes out to those there in Newtown, Connecticut. They will never, ever be the same. Well, I was dealing with that whole thing and saying to myself, why would God allow this? You know, we often question, you know, because God does have the power to allow. And then a verse of scripture kept ringing out in my head. It's found in the book of 1 Thessalonians, which says, "And when they shall say, peace and safety, sudden destruction shall come upon them like a woman in travail with child. And they shall not escape. They shall not escape. And it sounds like the Bible is suggesting that as the world moves further and further into its development and they try to secure peace and safety, that once they think they have established it, it shall be abolished. Rude awakening shall happen. When you think that you're safe, you will not indeed be safe, as we saw last week, nestled in the hills of Connecticut, a wonderful quintessential town, peaceful town, kind of town I like to visit because I used to go to Vermont to vacation, the wife and I, because it's nice and quiet and laid back and old-time American. We love it. I can't even imagine what it's like there. Haven't been there, and I know it's a bad situation. But the reality is, people, there is no safe place, and it's unfortunate. Now the question is, why would the Bible forecast such a grim forecast for our future? Well, simply put, it is very clear that humanity has decided that they were going to, one, redefine the ideas of God and the morals of God. And that course that we are now on is a very, very dangerous course, because the more you reject the values and the ideas of God, the more you reject the protection of God. And unfortunately, that rejection redounds down to our children and to generations to come, because the safety of God is the only thing that really keeps, and God will protect. But it is very clear that man is going to continue down this path in the name of social justice and equality. We are reinterpreting God and the old-time doctrines of God and trying to explain them away as just a mere position of the right. But I'm here to tell you that it is not just a position of the right. It is what God has called for. If you're going to go on a walk with God, you want to invite him on your journey, you can't tell him to come and expect him to dress the way you want him to dress and to walk the way you want him to walk. If you want God to walk with you, you have to accept him just as he is. And that's hard for many of us to swallow, because we have these pains inside of ourselves, these emotional drives that tells us that what we're feeling is right. And I know it seems right, but we are clear that there's a way that seems right unto man, but the end thereof is destruction. And unfortunately, destruction of those who are near to us, because we are outside of the safety of God. In fact, we are outside of Eden. So I pray for these individuals. I have prayed. Sunday, our church prayed at least 4 or 5 times for them, because we are grandparents, we are parents, and we know that this situation can visit our homes and our schools, and it probably will. And because we are in the ship with you, and because we're in this world, we are not we're not individuals who will escape this as well. I should say we are not above it. It's going to happen indiscriminately. So the thing that I know is that one day there will be a place where there will be peace and safety, where sudden destruction won't come upon us. And we, as every believer, are striving for that place, sometimes with failures, sometimes with victories, but we are striving. So I say in my close that the safety of our children has been waning for some time now. It started waning back in the 60s when I was 12 years of age, and it's going to continue to wane until the Lord comes and settles all scores. So I am praying for those victims in Newtown, Connecticut. I pray for the parents and the grandparents, the brothers and sisters, and all the relatives and friends. This is a hard day in America, but we have now experienced the bankruptcy of peace and safety. God bless you.